Publishing Inside Out, Analyzing Author Websites. So this video is designed to help you prepare for assignment 2, which is the first in a series of 3 assignments that will help you build your own author profile and mission statement. So let's review, first of all, the purpose of this whole document. What is an author profile and a mission statement? Well, it's a short or medium length piece of writing that you could use as your About Me or author profile piece on an author website or a book proposal or something like that. It's kind of like your personal brand, your personal story, and other things that are described in chapters 1 and 2 of the Friedman book. But it boils down to this. A good author profile mission statement answers these 3 questions. Number 1, who am I and why am I qualified to write on this topic? Number 2, who are my readers and what do I know about them? And number 3, how does my work solve some problem or meet a need for my readers? If you can answer those 3 questions with clarity and definition, you're golden. And it's harder to do than it looks. We'll look at some examples here and I'll show you some good but not great examples of mission statements. And I'll show you one at the end that I think is outstanding. So let's jump over to the web and look at some examples. So the first question is, where do you even start? What if you don't know any author websites, or what if you don't even have a topic yet? Well, you should kind of pick a topic temporarily for the purposes of this assignment, because I think it's useful as you're doing the research to compare and contrast authors who write about the same topic. So you may have some authors in mind that you already follow and are already kind of using as inspiration. If not, you can just go to the Amazon website, of all places. This is not a systematic research project. It's an informal research project. We're just looking for books, and we're trying to find names of authors who write on a topic. So for my demo, I'm going to choose online higher ed. So I just go in. For books, I think you will very often find that the Amazon database is better than Google's, because that's their job. So I typed into the search box, make this a little bigger. I typed in online higher ed as the topic, and it brings up a series of books. So this is helping me to answer the question, wow, what other books have been written on my topic? So I'm going to click through here and see a few examples and look for some names, see what I can see. Now here's one, Teaching Online, A Guide to Theory, Research, and Practice. And this comes from the Johns Hopkins University Series on Education and Technology. It looks pretty relevant, and it's written by an author by Claire Howell Major. So I've identified a book and I've identified a name. Now I'm going to go search for her. Claire Major. Here it is. This is her own website. You can see, maybe you can't because it's too small, but she has her own website. So I'm going to click on that. So here we have the website for Claire Major, the author of that book. So the first thing I see here is that she has a fairly visual splash page with not a lot of words. And it basically says, here's the first piece of her profile right here. I am a teacher and researcher with more than 3 decades of experience in higher ed. So obviously that profile focuses mostly on her credentials. She's mostly focusing on that, not necessarily her readers or what she can do for us. But now if I go to the About page, learn a little bit more about her. Hi, I'm Claire Major, and this site is meant to tell you a little more about me. Most of this, again, teacher, I'm a teacher with more than 3 decades of teaching experience. Writer, my writing interests are in the areas of faculty work, pedagogical approaches, technology for teaching and online learning, and speaker. I share my knowledge of teaching and learning through keynotes, workshops, etc. You can go read this in more detail if you want. But my first impression of her about and profile is that it's mostly about her and her credentials. Now, for an academic audience, that probably makes sense. But I think if we think about our 3 questions, she's not really telling me much about what she's going to do to help me. Eventually, if I click through here and went through speaker, and I went to consulting and projects, presentations. So here's some stuff. This begins to tell us what she works on: student engagement, collaborative learning, and so forth. So it's kind of okay. It's pretty, it's a visual site, but we're not really analyzing the visuals. We're just really focusing on how well does it tell her story. So I don't know, I'd give her like a B minus. I think she tells us a lot about her, but me as a selfish reader who wants to know what do you got for me, I would have to do some more research and spend some more time. So let's forget that one. Now, another author that I know about from Amazon and from teaching classes is Michelle Pacansky-Brock. She also writes and gives presentations on online higher ed. So here's her website. I'll enlarge this for you. And so again, hers is fairly visual and fairly sparse. On the homepage, we see these 6 blocks: blog, humanizing, book, teaching, videos, and slides. Now, I do know a good bit about her work. I've taught her books. I've met her. I've done presentations with her. And that one word question that shows up, what's the one word that would most recognize you as your brand? It is humanizing. So if people said, what is Michelle Pacansky-Brock about? I'd say she's all about humanizing online learning. So that's front and center. But again, let's look at the About page. First, we have my story. I was raised in California, Silicon Valley. I'm a teacher at heart. I began teaching. So this is entirely narrative biography about her. So it tells us a good bit about her as a person, not necessarily who am I. Now this is interesting. I clicked on who am I, and this is kind of like a mission statement. This is done as a series of points. It's almost like a personal credo. I am a community college teacher turned faculty developer. Now here's a good one. I am dedicated to supporting inclusive online teaching and learning experiences to support the needs of all students. That begins to sound like a mission because that's the why. Why do I do this? What is my purpose? What is my goal? Supporting inclusive online teaching and learning. I believe online courses are key to expanding access to higher education. So this gives me more of a sense of her mission and purpose as a writer and a scholar than the Claire Major one. So I think Michelle has done a bit of a better job here. She's given us a little more of the why along with the who and what. But she still doesn't really have... Here's the bio. Here's another more professional bio. She's a noted leader in higher education with expertise in blah, blah. Michelle's work has helped online instructors across the nation understand how to craft relevant, humanized online learning experiences to support the diverse needs of college students. It's a little wordy, but it's pretty good. And there's more of a sense of purpose and more of a sense of what need she's trying to fulfill for her readers. So I think Michelle's is a step above Claire's. Now, let's shift gears for a minute. That shows you kind of a process for how to find people and authors if you don't have any names in mind. Go to Amazon first. Of course, you can always just go to Google and type in books, online higher education, and see what comes up. Find some author names, and then Google the author names and see if they have websites. But another result, if you do know names already, is to look them up. So I'm going to start with our 2 textbook authors. Jane Friedman. She, of course, pops right up because I've been hitting her site a lot lately. So let's see how Jane does. And remember, your overall goal in this assignment 2 is just to find examples. They don't have to be perfect, but you want to find examples that are kind of relevant to your interests and needs, and to see how the pros do it, and then to think about how you might do it even better. So on the front page of her site, we do get kind of a one-liner here, reporting and consulting on the publishing industry. That's good. It tells us what she does. Doesn't necessarily say why or for whom. Is this for publishing industry insiders? Is it for writers? A little hard to tell. Then she has 3 little icons: writing and reporting, services and consulting, and online classes. So let's go look at About Jane, where usually you would go to find these kinds of things. So here looks like a pretty good bio with a photo. 20 years of experience, Jane's newest book. Again, maybe as you'd expect for an academic or academic adjacent person, really focused on like her accomplishments and her credibility. Now this part, what I care about, is similar to what we saw in Michelle Pacansky-Brock's credo. I have a special interest in how the digital age is transforming writing careers, publishing, and storytelling. Rather than taking a dark view of how the internet era has affected writers' livelihoods, I'm more interested in how revolutionary change can inspire new business models and how authorship will ultimately evolve. I believe history is on the writer's side. They've been sustaining their careers in ever more innovative ways since the era of Gutenberg. Furthermore, I don't think that business and art must be at odds. I believe they can inform and push each other to flourish. So that's closer to a mission statement. That's a little more of the purpose of the why she's writing and what need or what service she's trying to provide for readers. Again, here's the resume detail. It is, as it says, about me. There's some of her publications, my more personal take. Again, not a lot of what need she's directly serving for her audience. And I do think she talks at some point about that she has different audiences. Like if you click on Work with Jane, this is her services. Query, letter, and synopsis critiques, hourly consulting, and so forth. So this is the front page for the business side of her work. So you can begin to get a sense of what she does, but it takes a little digging. So again, Jane Friedman, I would give a good to great, but not excellent grade on this. And I would give the kind of critique that I just did. And this critiquing that I'm doing out loud on the fly now is similar to what you should write up when you write your post for assignment 2, basically what you like about it and how effectively you think the site meets these 3 criteria that we identified at the beginning. Okay, let's look at one other course author. This is Fauzia Burke, who actually is a super nice person. She's been to visit me in Boulder several times and has guest lectured in my classes, and I expect we will get a guest lecture for her at some point. You notice both of them had pop-ups for mailing lists because both Jane and Fauzia would say there are 2 must-haves as an author. One is a website, and the second is a mailing list with an email newsletter. Okay, so here we are home. She describes herself as author, book publicist, and publishing consultant. And if we go to the About Me page, again, we see this kind of a formula here. Some photos. There's Alan Alda. She's worked with Alan Alda before. So her bio profile is mostly focusing on her career path and her personal life. I don't know if she has any kind of mission statement. That's where she's speaking in events, media. There it is. Look at this. There we are on her website, Publishing Inside Out interview with Michael S. Greer. Isn't that fun? So I think if you wanted to go to her blog, that would be the place to begin learning a little bit more about her purpose. But again, she's kind of missing that vital piece of, what problem do I solve for what audience? And I think it's implicit, but again, implicit is not good enough. I think we really want to make that pop. So let me show you one last example of what I consider top of the line state of the art. And this is Dan Roam. Dan Roam is a popular trade author who writes about visual thinking. He consults with a lot of Fortune 500 companies. He's well known all over the world, and his story is all about visual thinking. So this is a new version of his website, and I think, let me show you what I mean by why this is state of the art. You look at this menu across the top. It's a little small. You may not be able to read these submenus, but he has home, which is where we are, inspire, build skills, and rewire. Those 3 words, inspire, build skills, and rewire. Those are his 3 purposes. That's what I'm going to get from Dan Roam. And you look at what's the purpose or what's his mission. There it is in one sentence. In a complex world, visual clarity wins. That's excellent. That's as good as it gets. That's like in one sentence, my entire career can be summarized like this. In a complex world, visual clarity wins. So that's also useful for him running a business because it's broad, right? Everybody experiences complexity and everybody likes to know how to get to clarity. And his pitch is that visual thinking is the way to get there. You can see this cute little Sharpie sketch. That's kind of his trademark visual style. His first book is called The Back of the Napkin, like literally sketching on a napkin to solve common problems, complex problems. So clarity to win, nice little visual. There's his little books. So in a we haven't even gotten to the bottom of the homepage yet, and we know exactly what this guy's about, right? He's solving complex problems using visual thinking. Then he's going to say, how I do this. 3 ways we help you. Inspire, build skills, and rewire. Oh, there's those 3 words again. Really, really tightly focused. And here's another visual section. Visual clarity, your best approach. The text underneath that right here says, because we know every problem is complex and your business is unique, we've developed and field tested a wide range of approaches to achieve visual clarity. A brief consultation with you results in our recommendation. So he has, again, there we are, the 3, inspire, build skills, and rewire. And underneath there's a little more explanation. Inspire is about visual clarity for individuals. Building skills, visual clarity for your team. Rewire, visual clarity for your organization. And he explains a little bit more about what those are and immediately goes into the services he provides. Dan's books, 60 to 90 minute keynotes for Inspire. Under Build Skills, he offers action workshops and decision workshops. Under Rewire, a similar bullet list of things, and then each one is Learn More. So we could jump to this Inspire page. So here again, Inspire, books and keynotes. There is a way to make the world more clear. So again, I give a very clear sense, thanks Dan, of what I would be hiring him to do if I bought his book or if I took one of his workshops, a way to make the world more clear. The power of visual clarity is something everyone can learn step by step. And then here's some of his books that he offers as ways to help you be inspired, keynotes and events. So there's a lot of information here. There's videos of him giving a lecture at something called Dreamforce. So it's tightly organized around those 3 key themes: inspire, build skills, and rewire. It's tied to the theme of visual thinking, and it's pretty clear from his homepage that his audience is pretty much corporate. I mean, he talks down at the bottom here about, there's his team, some of the companies he's worked with, and right here he talks about visual strategies, graphic designers, illustrators, business analysts, program managers, developers, and copywriters. That's his audience. So I give him an A+. I think this is state of the art. Obviously, he's been refining and working on this website for literally years. I remember when it first came out, and it was mostly a bunch of Sharpie sketches, and it was good, but it's come a long way in the 4 or 5 years that I've been following Dan. So I leave danroam.com as a last example of a really super excellent author profile, purpose, and mission statement. We know what we're going to get from Dan Roam, and it kind of makes you want to click and buy his book. So ultimately, that's kind of the goal. So that's my tour. I hope that helps you kind of get started and gives you some thinking that will help you dive into assignment 2. Thanks for listening.